Welcome to Process to Profitability, hosted by me, Samantha Mabe. Process to Profitability centers on strategic processes that reduce costs while increasing conversions, productivity, and efficiency for creative CEO women who are growing sustainable, successful service-based businesses. We'll discuss strategies that produce sustainable profits and how to apply these processes to your small business through solo episodes and some amazing guests this season. On today's episode of Process to Profitability, I am talking with my friend Devin Lee about her website, and we are doing a website review. Devin is a Dubsado specialist, and she also does quarterly planning as a group program. We go through her website to help her convert people more easily, really get people where they need to go when they're interested in working with her, and figure out how she can add a little bit more of her personality into her website so that it all reflects who she is and how fun that she is. Hi, Devin.
Hi, Samantha. How are you?
Good. Before we jump into everything today, can you give listeners just a brief overview of what you do and who you work with so they've got an idea before we take a look at your website?
Totally. So, yeah, I'm Devin Lee. I am a certified online business manager and a certified Dubsado specialist. I work with service providers to create an ideal client journey, and then we put it on autopilot using Dubsado. And I also have a quarterly planning party, which we'll probably see on my website today.
Yes. All right. So let's get started. Before we look at your website, can you just tell me, what did you start with as far as a website when you started your business? How has that progressed? Have you worked with somebody? Did you use a template? How has that journey gone?
Sure. So I've been using Wix like forever. I think I started with a template a long time ago. I'm sure I picked like the most basic template and then kind of went from there. I try and keep things really simple, and I use I don't know what it's called, but there's like the version of Wix where you can like stay in the grids of the template, and then there's one where you kind of have more freedom and flexibility to move around. So I've kind of just worked from there and tweaked it from there. I had a VA who did some drop down coding for me at some point that I don't really understand. And I think I should probably change that at some point because I don't know how to edit it myself. And yeah, I try and just keep it super duper simple.
All right, perfect. So I am going to share my screen so that we can see your website, and then we will walk through it. What you feel like is working, and then what you kind of aren't sure about or have questions about so that I can answer those.
Sure. Well, what I think is working is I think that like I have some brand colors now. I've got some photos in there. I've got like my copy pretty much figured out for now. I think where I feel nervous is like, I'm not a graphic designer. And so when I look at my website, I think, this is okay. And then I see like one of the websites you've done. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so above and beyond, looks so professional. But I don't have the idea to like understand, what makes the difference. I'm like, is my spacing too tight? Do I need more photos? Like, I kind of get lost in the sauce, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And do you have a lot of people find you through your website? How do people find you to hire you?
Yeah, it's usually referrals or through networking, or if someone hears me speak, they'll reach out to me. So my website right now is just kind of like a landing zone that I send people to. However, my last business, I was a professional organizer, and right before COVID, I got really into SEO. And it was such a shame because the SEO started working after COVID hit and that business shut down. And I got a ton of like website inquiries. So I actually want to start blogging more. I know no one reads blogs really, but I know it's good for SEO. So I would love to get SEO going again. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know if I even rank in the search or anything.
Yeah, I did a little bit of research into that. before we jumped on. So you rank for Devin Lee OBM, you're number one. If you just search Devin Lee, you're like at the bottom of the first page because there's a whole bunch of people with that name apparently. So I don't know that you can really bump that up. That's kind of just gonna be what it is. I think Dubsado in a day, you were like one of the very first people because that's what your VIP
Really?
named.
Oh, that's exciting. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Okay.
For Dubsado VIP Day, it was on the second page. So it's still like hanging out there, but you could do, I think it's really just getting the different combinations of keywords in there that would really benefit you. And then if you blogged, you could hit kind of the types of people you work with and kind of help with that part too when they're searching for you.
Oh, amazing. I would love to get to the first page for VIP days.
All right. So on your website, I can see you've got your brand colors. Your text is really clean and easy to read, which is awesome. Your buttons change when you hover over them, which a lot of people don't have. um, and this is your home page that we're starting on. So this is, it looks like it's kind of your home page, but it's pretty much your sales page for the Dubsado in a day service.
Yes, and when I'm, once a quarter I launch my quarterly planning party, and when that happens, I switch that to the homepage, and so they kind of toggle back and forth.
Okay. And that just, the cart for that just closed. So it is not the homepage right now.
Exactly.
I would say, I think you've got some good spacing. You've got really clean fonts. It's easy to read. I think what I notice a lot here is you're so fun and your reels are like so fun. So I'm sure you're getting a lot of comments on those. And the website is just not as fun as your personality is when people connect with you.
Well, I'm so excited that you see how fun I am. And yeah, you're right. Like, I think my need to keep it simple, because that's all I know how to do, it doesn't allow me to like do anything fun. So yeah, I totally agree there.
Yeah, I think part of that could just be like some more fun colors, or I'm not as familiar with Wix, but like if you can do gradient backgrounds, just add some of that, even if it's not like all of those really fancy elements. I would also say, like, I think this headline really works, but it might help for both SEO and people coming to your website to kind of talk about who you work with. So mostly online business people, like just include that somewhere towards the beginning so people know it's right for me because this is the type of person you work with.
Got it. Yeah, because that's the like main header that
Mhm.
probably prioritizes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I like that you have your picture of you. I think I would crop it in a little bit closer too, so that you can see the start of this next section without having to scroll. So just reduce this space here, maybe crop this a little bit closer so that people, we know we have to scroll on websites, but people still like to kind of see a preview of what's next to keep them moving.
Someone told me that a long time ago, and it like went in one ear and out the other, that like the bottom 25% should show people like that they need to keep going. And yeah, I should obviously have that in the header, so I can easily crop the picture.
Okay. The other thing I would say is I wonder, because you've always, or tell me if I'm wrong, do you always have the quarterly planning party link up so that people could like sign up for whenever the next one is?
Yeah, so like now that the cart is closed, the all the links just lead to adding folks. Like they can sign up for my wait list,
Okay.
essentially.
What I think could help here is, instead of using your sales page as your homepage, create a homepage that talks overall about like how you're helping people manage their time, because that's kind of what you're doing, is either through automations with Dubsado or through planning. And then you can give them those options of like, do you want Dubsado setup? Do you want quarterly planning? Or you could then, like, as a third option, you could either send them to your freebie, your workbook, or the blog once you've got that up. And that way you've got another page worth of content. And when people land on your site, if they're like, I don't need full Dubsado setup yet, they've got some other options without having to poke around a little bit more.
Okay, this is such perfect timing because this week I've been doing some deep thinking on like I have these two services, but they're not really under one brand. And I need to kind of create one umbrella brand that is like productivity and time management. And so if you want to work with me to like get back your time, do you want to do it through automation using Dubsado or do you want to do it through the quarterly planning party? So this is actually perfect timing while I think about like how I want to frame that. Like I could just have a homepage that encapsulates how I
Yep.
want to talk about that. So yeah, I love that.
And then I think like for your generally on a homepage, you'd have a really brief bio. So you can just talk overall about why you think time management is so important in your belief system, because that's going to relate to so many people and it's going to tie those two things together.
I love that. I'll take any excuse to talk about time management more.
All right. So then on this page, you have the kind of the list of things that you're offering. I think we could bump these spaces a little bit closer together just to condense the page a little bit, but I like that you've got a button. I also think you could add some more fun elements just by having some images or some GIFs of you on these pages, so it's not just text, because it's pretty text heavy. Like it's easy to read, but it's not filled with your personality.
Yeah, I love gifts too, so I would love to add more in.
So then you have your VIP day and you've got your call to action there. That's perfect. You got your 4 kind of what you get. And I think this is really helpful because you're talking about like what they get, like why it's important for them. You'll also receive, I think this could also use kind of maybe expand these a little bit for like, why does it matter? So why is a pre-VIP day important? Why does the post call matter? Why do I want to have to get on a call before and after?
Right, like I can add in a little description of like, this is where we like define your client
Yep.
journey. This is where I walk you through everything. And that way, yeah, people can have a frame of reference for why we're doing all these things and how they're valuable.
And especially if you get questions for people that are like, do I have to do the call? That's going to help answer that because you're going to be telling them it's really important. Like, this is what sets us up for success. All right. So then you've got your bio, and I think that's really fun. I would add here, this is generally a good spot, like add a little section with either places you've been featured, so podcasts you've been on, or you could add some like numerical stats for like how many Dubsado setups you've done, or how much somebody has saved, how many hours they've saved. Like give people some real tangible results so that you're kind of building trust with your expertise and they're seeing what's possible for them.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I've kind of started a project where I created like a Google Sheet calculator to see how much time I've saved each client with all the workflows. So this is a good excuse to start that project again.
And then limited spots. So I think that like that is driving your kind of urgency without being really icky. And that's what we like here. I like this too, where you're talking about like why Dubsado is important, how it works, what to expect. I think this is helpful for like how you want to lay that out. I think if you can add little lines under here, just really light gray in between these, what you can expect from me, it'll make it a little bit easier to read. You've got your testimonials. For testimonials, it could be helpful to include pictures of people. And if you could have them scroll so they're not stacked and taking up so much space, like a slideshow carousel, so that people can see there are more testimonials, but they're not like, you've only got 3, so it's not that big of a deal, but you could add more that way without feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm scrolling forever just reading these.
Yeah, Wix does have like a template section that has that feature. And this is also would be a great excuse for me to follow up with all my past clients and say, hey, can I have your picture? I'm adding you to my website. Also, like, how are you? I love that. I'll do that.
And then you've got kind of what you get at the end. And some of this is repeated from the end. I think you could add these kind of in columns with like some fun graphics just to add a little bit different layout here. And then you've got your cost. I think that's really important. And then you've got, okay, so drop downs, that's really helpful. And then this is your sign up for your freebie then.
Right. And I almost wonder, especially if I'm going to have this on the home page and it's at the top, I wonder if I should just get rid of that from the footer because I always feel like it's kind of clunky and just I don't always like it at the bottom.
Yeah, I think it would make sense to take it off of the bottom, especially on a sales page, because you want them taking action on the sales page, not on this signing up for this workbook. So you could even end it with like this last sign up here and then just have your footer down at the bottom. And that way you're not sending them somewhere else.
Yeah, that's a good point. This also reminded me of another question I just thought of for you. So as you can see on this page, I have all kinds of buttons that all lead to the like application or sign up or whatever. But what I find a lot of times people do is they like I'll say 75% of the time, obviously like at least skim this page and then go to my contact and then reach out through the contact page. So I'm wondering if I should put like a link to schedule a call with me or something because people are clearly not getting enough from the sales, or maybe they will after I do all these updates. But is that like a common thing? Is that telling me that my sales page is lacking, or what does that kind of say to you?
So when they do the sign up today, I'm assuming that takes them to a Dubsado link. Is this more of an application?
It's basically an application. Like it starts a workflow where they then, after I get this, they can then schedule a call with me. And so sometimes folks, go to the contact page and just schedule a call right there. Like, so they're kind of skipping a step, like all roads lead to Rome, essentially. So I almost wonder if I should just put the schedule a call with me on here. I like when people fill out the form though, because then I can get a little info before our call and like prep for the meeting more.
You could do one of two things. You could try changing the language in these call to actions, because sign up today makes it sound like they're committing to this. So it might be something
Right.
to say, apply now, or let's chat about it. Or you could do something like, let's chat about it. Our mutual friend Jennifer Kerfman says, meet me in my Zoom room. That's her call to action.
I love that.
So you could do something like that and send them to the call. And I know, because I do the same thing, it's important to have those questions answered before you get on a call. And I'm pretty sure in Dubsado, you're the expert there. Even if they signed up, you could kind of have those questions as part of the sign up for the call.
You can attach a lead capture form to a scheduler. So
Yeah.
yeah, I almost wonder if I should just have all the buttons lead to the scheduler because that's where they're going to end up anyways. A pet peeve of mine is when people email me about the VIP day and I ask to schedule a call and then they just email me back with questions. I'm like, I can't really, like, I need to talk to you. I don't want to scare people away, but I do need to talk to them. So maybe I should just try that out and see what happens.
Yeah, I would try it out, change the call to action so it's really clear that they're signing up for a call, get the information that you need when they're doing that, and then send them into the workflow like you normally would, and see if that makes a difference in how many people are kind of going around your process.
Yeah, that actually might make my workflows simpler. Ooh, this is exciting. Okay, I like this.
All right, so you've got your quarterly planning party, and I imagine this page is pretty similar because it's set up as a sales page too. And so like these buttons right now would go to the wait list. So what I think I'd do there is just say somewhere on here, probably towards the top, just say the next quarterly planning party will start whenever, and then just change your call to actions to say join the wait list so people understand that that's what's going to happen.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. And then, that the week that the doors open, I'll just change them for that week and then I can go back to
Yeah.
being the wait list. Okay, perfect.
It's a little bit more work, but it makes it more clear for people. So I think that's always helpful. You do use more colors here. So I think, you could do that on that other sales page too. I do think this button, I think the green and the purple might not be enough contrast. So you might need to like make that purple into a black font.
Okay, can do.
I like this. I think again, like you're using emojis here, but you could almost have like a graphic and then the information, a graphic that kind of represents it and then the information. Either like for this dream, you've got a questionnaire, so you could have like a screenshot of the questionnaire and then like maybe a screenshot of everybody working, something like that. So they kind of get a preview of what things are going to look like.
Ooh, yeah, that would be fun.
All right. And then, yeah, you've got your bio again. I think this again could be a fun place to like, if you could get the data to say like this many projects completed, or like this many people have gone through my quarterly planning party, to give kind of that real like expertise to it. And that way, when somebody goes, oh, well, I want to sign up, but is anybody else going to be there? You can be like, we have this many people, most cohorts, and let them know that.
Ooh, this is a good idea. 'Cause that also kind of reminds me of another program that you and I are in together, where every time you make a sale, you submit it and you celebrate. And I would love to do that for a quarterly planning party. Like every time you complete a project, submit a form, and then I'll find some way to like celebrate people. And then I could have the data of like this quarter we combined, completed 20 projects.
Yeah. All right. So then you've got more calls to action. I think I'd make your FAQs the drop downs again. I think that's would just clean things up a little bit. Yep, more testimonials. So again, I think you could make these scroll through. I know you don't have names here, and I think that's totally fine. I think
Stuff
like
going
you're
on.
seeing so many here and you're like, okay, I get it. But I think it would be helpful to have it just scroll, and then you could take away like this call to action button and just leave it here. So you could reduce a couple of those buttons just because they're not going to be scrolling as far to find the next one. And then you got your final call to action. And again, I think you could take the client workbook sign up off of the sales pages.
Yeah, that'll be an easy one. I think it's just because it's just in the footer. So I think I can just get rid of that
Yeah.
completely.
Yep. And then, so you've got about, I love this.
Sometimes I think like, it's been a few years since I've gotten brand photos taken, but like I really like these ones.
All right. So you're talking about you've got some pictures. I like that you've got kind of your certifications here, company values. I think you could make these kind of side by side just to have it take up a little bit less space, but that is really important. You got your testimonial, but I would make this one, the layout, similar to the other ones, just so that it's consistent throughout. What I would say is when you start blogging, add that as a separate link up here. And then your inclusion and equity page could stay under the about. If you want it to be a separate page, that's totally fine. But then it'll help more people get to the blog. And you've got your posts here. So yeah, I mean, I think that would give people like, they would want to read it. If possible, best practice is not to have the date on a blog post, just because people are going to look at it and go, well, that's really old. Is she still doing stuff?
I stopped blogging so long ago. And also like my plan right now is to actually just take all my previous, because I've been writing so many emails, is just turn those
Yep.
emails into blog posts and just post them all at once, because who's subscribed to my blog right now? And then I figured it would help SEO, because that doesn't matter when it comes out, right? Like it just needs to be on the website.
Well, what I would say is you could post like 3 or 4 new ones and then schedule them out at a consistent rate, because that's going to help more when Google sees that you're being consistent with putting out
Okay. In that case, I need to do some rearranging.
content.
Yep. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, and I would see if you could add like a header here that just like talks about that overall like time management, saving time thing. Maybe your blog posts have categories, especially if it's like sometimes you're talking about Dubsado, sometimes you're talking about planning, and you could let people pick kind of which ones they want to do. And then you've got your contact page. Okay, so it looks like here either is the let's chat your call sign up.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like that link can just be the same link on my Dubsado page, and I'll just have the lead capture have all the information I need.
Okay. What I would recommend is still have like the get in touch, and then it might help to have a generic lead capture form on this page for either people who have other types of questions, or maybe they aren't sure about like what they're getting in touch with you for. And then give them kind of like a sidebar with your email address. I like to include kind of office hours or how long it would take you to get back to them.
Hmm.
And then you could also then say, if you know you're ready for a VIP day, schedule a call with me.
Ooh, that's smart. Yeah. And or even like I kind of like the idea of people not being able to just email me and having them go, because I want everything to go through Dubsado. So I like the idea of replacing it with a contact form.
Yeah, I would do that. I still like to have your email on the website just for like those weird inquiries that sometimes people want to do. You don't have to make it a big button. A
For the
little
people
bit.
who really want it.
Yeah, as a podcast host, that's usually what I'm looking for, because I don't need to fill out your lead capture form if I want you to be a guest on my podcast. But you also don't want people emailing you for like anything when they really should be signing up through your CRM.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking, is as someone who guests on podcasts, what I find is that I really just want to email people if they don't have a podcast application. And I've noticed the like higher scale, quote unquote, businesses I try to apply for, like the harder it is to get in contact with them.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, maybe I can be fancy and not have my email as well. But also, I don't want to have too many hoops if people just want to
Yeah.
email me. So that makes sense.
So I think we went through all the major pages. I think overall it's just adding a little bit more variety to the design, adding a home page to kind of tie everything together, and then making it really easy in the sign up process for them to get what they need, but you to also get what you need, so that you are both ready when you get on that call to chat with them.
Yeah, I like that a lot. You know me, I just want to make everything easy for everyone.
All right. Any other questions before we wrap up?
No, this was incredible. Thank you so much, Samantha.
And if anybody wants to learn about your Dubsado VIP day or the quarterly planning party, they can check out your website. It's devonlee.com. Like we said, you show up on social, you are on SEO, so you're pretty easy to find.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everyone come say hi. I'm available.
I loved going through Devon's website today. We had some suggestions for her, and if you haven't watched the video version of this, I highly recommend that you do that. She is a great example of using really clean and clear fonts that are easy to read, and she can just go in and add some personality to that to make her website be the rock star that she is. If you are interested in getting a website review for your own website to see how you can convert more clients or what things you might be able to do to streamline your process, you can always submit for a free website review at lemonandthesea.com/review. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Process to Profitability. I'd love it if you would leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts to help others find the show, and send me a message to let me know, what is your process to profitability? You can connect with me on my website at lemonandthesea.com or on Instagram and TikTok at lemonandthesea.